A few months back, we all saw the stories, front page stories in the newspapers and top page stories in the nightly news about what's happened in Arizona and the lack of access there. The result of those stories ended up with a change in leadership at the VA. Secretary Shinseki resigned. Directly or indirectly, the director of VA Montana resigned shortly after Secretary Shinseki. And through those allegations, and inspectors generals, independent VA inspector general launched a comprehensive investigation into 93 different VA facilities across this country, including Phoenix. The Phoenix investigation was done in August, and but the nationwide investigations have yet to have their full results released. But I will say in Montana, and Montana was one of those VAs that was investigated, it was found that there was an access problem there. Nearly 48 days for a new patient to get access to the VA. Far too long for any veteran, let alone a Montana veteran. So the access issue is real and it's concerning. And we have made some progress in Congress. And that's not an easy statement to make when you talk about what Congress has got done. But the fact is we don't get much done, but we did get a bill passed in the end of July that was a major reform for VA. It does a lot of things, including a 2-year extension of the Project Archer, which many of you know about, some of you potentially have used, which is allows the VA to do contracting with hospitals so that veterans can get their health care closer to home. I think it has incredible advantages. It's a bill that I've pushed very, very hard, quite frankly, and we did get a pilot project in Billings and Miles City. It is expanded with this new bill that we passed in July so other hospitals can also come on board over the next couple of years. For veterans who live a long ways away from a VA medical facility, this is one of the solutions that I think is very viable, especially in a place like Montana. We also, because staffing was such an issue, the lack of doctors, the lack of nurses, and in fact even the lack of administrative staff, we were able to get a double the stipend reimbursement for docs and healthcare. I looked at this healthcare professionals, so it's more than just docs. From $60,000 to $120,000. What's that mean? That means if you're a doctor and you want to go to work for the VA, there was $60,000 worth of loan forgiveness. Now it's $120,000. It's a lot of money. And quite frankly, doctors come out of med school with a lot more debt than that. But it's a big tool by which I think the VA can utilize to recruit medical professionals, so we can get more skilled doctors and nurses. Now, I don't know what folks are going to talk about here, but I will tell you that one of the things I've heard in every listening session I've had, and this is the 7th or 8th or 9th session, is that the folks we have on the ground in Montana, for the most part, are pretty darn good, the doctors and the nurses. The problem is there's not enough of them. This is a step to help fix that problem. The other issue is transportation, before, well, just last week it was, or 2 weeks ago, whenever I was in Washington, D.C. last in Congressman session, we got 2 transportation bills passed into the President's desk that I think are going to help with rural transportation, both to help the DAV and other veteran service organizations with transportation opportunities and with the VA with their transportation. Look, I visited with many of you many times about veterans issues, and I appreciate your input. And the reason I appreciate your input is because the best ideas I get for Washington, D.C. comes from folks on the ground in Montana, and many of you were there when we increased the mileage reimbursement from 11 cents to 41 cents for disabled vets to be able to get to a doctor. We would not have got that across the finish line if it wouldn't have been for 2 entities, the VSOs across this country, including the ones in the state of Montana, and Robert C. Burt, who happened to be the head of the Appropriations Committee when we got that done. You guys stepped up in a big way, and I think pointed out that a mileage reimbursement that had been around for 3 decades, it was time to update that, and we were able to do that. That's what I'm hoping, the kind of information that comes out from the folks here today. Look, we've made some advances. We've made some advances in Montana, and there's some good things going on, but there is room for improvement, and we need to hear from you to be able to move that forward. Now, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do with this information that I get today. There will probably be people who talk about their individual circumstances and what's happened to them. If it's an issue that I need to have Knudsen work on, who's over here to my right, we will do that. Him and 3 other staff of my staff in Montana work on VA issues exclusively. Second thing we're going to do is we're going to take your ideas, see if we can influence the VA itself to change rules without an act of Congress. If we can't do that, we'll utilize it to change rules with an act of Congress. And then the last thing is the information we get here today. I'm going to be talking with Acting Director of VA Montana, Johnny Janae, to see if he can help fix some of the problems we hear today. So we've got a multi-pronged approach here, but the key is your input.